Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mystery Sports Podcast. And Arsenal, you know, they win again, and after a disappointing result against Wolves, they bounce back. Spurs, new manager Igor Tudor, or however you pronounce his name. We I think few people thought Spurs were going to have a little manager bounce back. So did I, to be fair. But, we've seen why Arsenal are one of the best teams in the Premier League, should we say, or the best team in the Premier League. You know, they've had a setback against Wolves and Brentford with 2 draws there, and then obviously they go and win against Spurs in the North London derby, and, they make it 5, um, wins on the bounce in North London derby's high there. And, Arsenal look to be in a strong position. But really, if we look into it, if City obviously beat Leeds next weekend and they do play before Arsenal, that gap does go down to 2 points again. And what does that kind of mean and entail for the Premier League is that, if Arsenal no, sorry. If City do obviously slip up, then Arsenal win against Chelsea, which obviously will be a tough game, no doubt about that. Another derby, really. It means that City would be in, you know, a comeback mode again, and obviously Arsenal with an upper hand and things. But City probably will beat Leeds. I think they will beat Leeds, and quite comfortably. They should beat Leeds. Put the pressure back on Arsenal, and Arsenal can't slip up against Chelsea. And judging by the game yesterday from Chelsea, I think they've got to turn up. They've got to make it difficult for Arsenal. And I think they will make it difficult for Arsenal. But it's just one of those things. If Arsenal turn up again like they did in the Carabao Cup semi, where Chelsea were a stronger side on that day, if Arsenal turn up, they score a goal, they win it 2-1 or something, I think anything can happen, and Arsenal are in a very strong position. I think as a United fan, and I think a lot of you guys not being Arsenal fans, or a few of you who are Arsenal fans, will probably be like, we want to see Arsenal win. The ones who obviously are Arsenal fans, but a lot of us there were watching that game, hoping Spurs would get a result out of there. But it just shows you can't rely on Spurs to do a job realistically. We saw that last year when Arsenal wanted Spurs to stop City winning the league. Not last year, sorry, a couple of seasons ago, stop City winning the league. Obviously, that didn't happen. Spurs slip up, didn't put that chance away that Son had when he was through on goal. And the same thing happened today. We thought Spurs looked quite good. I would say Spurs for the first half looked very good and probably deserved to go 2-1 up. I think Colin Malawi obviously scoring his goal. And I think there was another chance where I can't remember who it fell to, where Tottenham should have done better. But overall, though, I think Arsenal, they deserve the win through that second half performance. I think it was a soft disallowed goal that was given against Kolo Malawi. I just think this kind of ruling where Kolo Malawi just put his hands on Gabriel and he's just flopped in the air. It looked like a dive from me, and I will say that is definitely a goal. I don't think it's a foul. I think Gabriel literally he's felt a little bit of contact and he's fallen on the floor. I also think that, you know, there's elements of the game that needs changing massively. They're just little things like, why did that have to happen? And, if that didn't happen and VAR gave the goal, then, the game's 2-2. Do we have some sort of kind of Spurs winning this game, or do Arsenal struggle a bit more and crumble under this pressure that they have from Man City and, from everyone really wanting them to slip up? And, will they slip up? Obviously, they've got 3 points to put it back to 5 points, the difference now. And, it makes good reading for Arsenal fans. Like, you look at the Premier League table, so if you share my screen now, you'll be able to see the Premier League table. And you see there, look, Arsenal sitting comfortably top of the league now, obviously with a game in hand over everyone else, bar from, a game in hand, don't they, against everyone? Obviously, City, if they do win that game in hand, they go top of the league, and Arsenal have got to be, and a lot of Arsenal fans have got to be careful about this and be like, what actually can happen. We've got a great result. Let's celebrate the result. But then at the same time, you've got to focus on that. If City to win their game in hand that they have over Arsenal, City are basically the league leaders. And if I'm technically, obviously, Arsenal are top of the league, but I think City are top of the league now. They are the league leaders just because they've got a game in hand over Arsenal, and I don't see City slipping up really. Obviously Leeds, you can see there, Leeds is the next game for City, and if I show you the City's fixtures, um, of who they've got to come up, the only two difficult games there, as you can see, are Arsenal and City. But that Arsenal game is at the Etihad, and I think Arsenal don't do well at the Etihad. I think they'll slip up at the Etihad, Arsenal, and hopefully City get the win there. I don't want City to win the league, but I'd I'd rather City win the league than over Arsenal. I just can't stand the fans and how annoying and how deluded they are. Like, I was watching a TikTok video the other day, and they were saying it was a comparison between Arsenal now and the all-time Premier League, not all time, the current best 11, excluding Arsenal players. And there were things in there that you was going Declan Rice over Bruno Fernandes. That's ridiculous. If you look at the season this year of Bruno Fernandes, it's been absolute. He's the best Premier League midfielder this year, no doubt about that in terms of stats and what we've seen him produce. Um, but if we also look at back to the game and how Arsenal played as a whole, sorry, and I'll do a player rating for for Arsenal and for um Tottenham. So if we can start with Tottenham, I think Vicario had a decentish game. Obviously, conceding 4, you can't really say he's done amazing. I thought he'd have played okay, so I'd probably give him a 5 out of 10. Polina, I thought, playing 82 minutes, he had a decentish game, Polina, and a couple of defensive challenges that he made, which were good. I'd probably give him a 6. Dragusin, I think he was quite poor at the back, and it just shows the quality between Romero and Dragusin and how um, the lacking quality and squad depth that Spurs do have was shown there. So I'm going to give Dragusin a 4. Van der Ven, we didn't really see him doing too much in the game. He wasn't really an attacking threat. So I'd probably give him 5. Jed Spence 5 again. Pape Sarr probably 5. Looked okay. Basuma had a very good game. I thought probably give him a 6. Gallagher, I didn't really see him get involved in the game really. So I mean, I know obviously the goal or the chalked off goal from Kola Malawi. If that wasn't chalked off, then it could have been um, obviously an assist for Gallagher. So I'd probably give him 5. Archie Gray, I think he demanded a lot off Archie Gray with him being 19 and stuff. And I think Archie Gray is a top player. I really do like the look of Archie Gray. So I'd give him a 6. Obviously, Kola Malawi getting the goal. I think he played very well. Which proved to be a threat. So I'd probably give him a 7. He's probably the man of the match for Spurs. Simmons as well looked good carrying the ball and things. Did what he needed to do. And then if you look at the Arsenal ratings. So if I just move it so you can see it a little bit better. I don't know why you can't see me. There. So you've got Raya. I think Raya did okay. Probably 6 standard. Nkapie 6. Gabriel Saliba 6. He could have done better with the goal Saliba could have done much better with the goal that Kolo Malawi scored. Timber, getting an assist, got yellow card, got subbed off quite early, but I'd give him a 6. Zubimendi, probably 6. Declan Rice, thought he had one of his worst games that I've seen Declan Rice play. Giving the ball away. As soon as Arsenal scored, he was like, "Stay concentrated, use your mind, calm down and stuff." And then he gives the ball away. So I'd give Declan Rice a 4. Trossard, probably 6. Eze, man of the match. Actually, it's between Eze and Gyökeres, man of the match. Probably give Eze man of the match. I think he had a very good game, 2 goals. Can't ask for more really from Eze, so probably an 8. Saka, Saka did all right. Was a bit hit and miss in the game. He had a couple of chances and things like that, so I'd give him a 7. Gyökeres, probably an 8. I think obviously scoring 2 goals. Proper striker performance from Gyökeres today. I think in terms of what we saw from Gyökeres, his first goal was fantastic, and I think his second goal just showed the class of Gyökeres when he was at Sporting, battling a defender, shrubbing off the defender and just finishing it clinically into the back of the net. And I think Arsenal can't really ask for more from that game. You know, winning 4-1 in your derby, perfect result, 3 points. You've got to move on now to Chelsea on Sunday at 4:30. In terms of obviously, though, what it looks like in the league table for Spurs, you know, it's not a good reading, is it, realistically? And if we just get off City there, get back onto the league table, you know, 16 points. It's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Spurs again, you know, Forest slipping up. It's kind of a bonus now for them. Obviously, with them losing, you know, there's only 2 points in it. West Ham, you know, getting that draw now on claw it back to 4 points between them and Spurs. And you know, it's not good reading for Spurs. That's the only negative I would say. It's not very poor from them. You know, let's say Forest were to beat Brighton and anything happened. Brighton are very inconsistent this year. You know, they go on to 30 points. So they go above Spurs if Spurs lose against Fulham. And not, yeah, Fulham, yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did see Fulham get a result with it being at Craven Cottage as well. I would say if I'm gonna predict it, I know I'm looking quite early, and we will do predictions, so stay tuned in for that, which will be at the end of the upcoming week. Um, I would say that Bright that Fulham will get a result, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a Fulham win. And, you know, that only make and imagine if, you know, West Ham get a point or something at Anfield. Um, they go on to 26. You know, they're only a win behind Spurs if Spurs do slip up and lose away at Fulham. So it's not good reading, and I think you can definitely say for sure that Spurs are in this relegation battle for 18th place because Wolves and Burnley are gone. There's no doubt about that. West Ham, Forest, and Spurs, they're the only three teams. You could even argue Wolves, but I think not Wolves, Leeds, sorry. I think Leeds are you know, a couple more slip ups from them and, you know, they get dragged back into it. But I think the quality and the system that Daniel Farker's got going at Leeds, I think they'll stay up. But, you know, that 18th spot is between Spurs, Forest, and West Ham, and it's not good reading. And, you know, who would have predicted that at the start of the year? Spurs to be relegated from the Premier League. You know, it's definitely the biggest relegation that I would have seen in my entire lifetime. I know I've only been on the earth for 18 years, but you know, there's things where I think the last biggest team to go down was like United or something in the 70s. And, you know, there's not many people alive or the people alive who've seen that are very old now. And, you know, it's just a ridiculous thing to say that if that was to happen, Spurs, a Big Six team, gets relegated from the Premier League into the Championship. It's just wow. I actually can't believe if that was to happen, Spurs were to get relegated. It's definitely a possibility that could happen. You know, West Ham could string a few results on. They look good under Nuno. Forest could string a few results on. I was watching the Liverpool game against Liverpool Forest today, and Forest did look good. You know, they were very unlucky not to get a point, and you know, if they would have got a point, which I think was deserved, you know, they should have even won the game with the chances that they had in the first half through Gibbs, White, Eagle Thiago, not Eagle, Eagle Jesus, and a couple other players. You know, if they would have took their chances, you know, they go above Spurs, and you're like, what is going on? Spurs 17th again, just ridiculous. But that is everything for the Arsenal game. So well done to Arsenal. You go 5 points clear now. You know, you still City have got a game in hand over you, though. See what happens when that all pans out and things. Tomorrow, obviously, United do play Everton away from home. I will be doing a match reaction after the game. Hopefully, it's 3 points for United. Hopefully, we get back into that fourth position. Yeah, fourth it is. And you know, it it will be an exciting run-in now from the Premier League. Obviously, there's quite a few fixtures before that March international break. Let's see what happens then. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you're new here, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share to all your family and friends. And hope you guys have a good start to the week. And yeah, catch you on in a bit.